Hey there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How's it going, Holly?
Oh, it's really, really good, thank you. How are you?
Fantastically well. I'm doing splendid. Thank you.
It's so good to hear. You look radiant.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. I received that. I received that. Where
Awesome.
where are you? Say again?
I said awesome.
I love your accent. Where are you in the world today?
I'm in Sydney, Australia. Down,
Sydney, Australia. Down under.
yeah, whereabouts are you in the US?
Yeah, at the moment, I'm in a little state called Texas.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they call it the Lone Star State. I've been on my Lone Star lately.
That's a good space to be in.
Yeah, it can be. It has its charms.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has its charm. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for the chat. I must admit I've not done this before, so I apologize for any technical glitches, but it's so lovely to chat with you from the other side of the world.
I know all the way on the other side and at the touch of a button,
And
we can touch each other's lives at the touch of a button today.
we
I,
have
I enjoy it. I enjoy how technology is kind of, we find ways to bring ourselves together, to come close. Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely benefits to it. It
Mhm.
can it can pull you down, or you can really use it to your advantage and let it lift you up and other people as well. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Depending on how you're looking at it, the angle you perceive it, your perspective, it can
Yeah,
change. It can change. So,
absolutely.
yeah. How is little Zenith?
Oh wow. Yo, wonderful. He's so good. He's upstairs. You might hear him. We have the sound travels. But he's wonderful. We didn't get a lot of sleep last night, but it's all good. We're well.
You you said only 6 months. You said he's been teething?
Yes, yeah, he's teething. So he's been up every sort of couple of hours, but that's
Mhm.
okay. It means he's growing, he's healthy, and I got up early and I tried to seize the day, so I'm better for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this another new experience for you?
Being a mother?
Hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Zedna, yeah, we tried for many years to have a baby and it didn't really work. And then by the grace of nature, something happened. There was a lot of work, I suppose, healing the body, but um, so now we have Zenith, and he's a wonderful teacher, and it's a very new experience.
Awesome. Awesome. I can imagine. I don't have any children of my own, but I love how you said that, Holly. You said by the grace of nature, you know? It's
Yeah,
amazing. It's amazing what things can happen. The
yeah,
possibility.
it really is. The grace of God, grace of nature, whatever we like to refer to it as. Yeah.
You remind me it was really by the grace of nature that I came into being because my mom, I'm an only child, full disclosure. My mom almost didn't have me. They
Wow.
were trying for a while as well, and she battled through a lot of different things, and they had me in their late 30s. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, yeah. Wonderful. What a gift.
Yeah. So I almost wasn't here today.
And the planet is better for having your energy here. That's incredible.
Blessings.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you for that wonderful reminder that, miracles do happen, things do happen by the grace of nature. Yeah.
Yeah, they surely do. They surely do. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You didn't give up. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Holly, I find it so interesting. There's something, and I guess for anyone who doesn't know you, since this is your first time coming on live here, and thank you for the opportunity, to have your presence here on your platform. But for anybody who's never met you before, how would you describe yourself?
Oh gosh, I feel a bit put on the spot. I'm not really sure. Happy, very diligent in if I'm a hard worker.
Mhm.
Grateful and healthy.
Happy, hardworking, grateful, and healthy.
Good way to be, I think.
Yeah, I love it. If you could be any four things, you know, you might as well be those. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. You're a wonderful listener. Your reflection, your yeah. That's a real skill. It's almost a lost art to really hear people. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Do you not find that often in Australia?
Oh, look, I don't. I suppose people are busy. I suppose people are busy, and they have their. We all have our things that are on our mind. So to have people properly hear you and reflect content back to you like they really hear you is, whether it's Australia or anywhere, you know, it's a gift to be heard. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You know, it's one of those gifts that keeps on giving, you know?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Wow. You know, and speaking of being heard, speaking of listening and using that gift, I find it interesting that you have a history of mindfulness. You know, when did mindfulness come into your view, come into your field, and how has mindfulness played a role in your life?
Oh gosh. I probably started learning or utilizing mindfulness, maybe, let's say 10 years ago. I navigated anxiety, like quite debilitating anxiety, and I would struggle to leave the house, and I would have panic attacks regularly. And I think I read a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correct. And that changed my perception in such a grand way. And so I learned the benefits of, you might hear Zenith, I learned the benefits of just anchoring into this present moment and being mindful of bodily sensations or the breath or the cicadas outside. And I don't know if you guys can hear that. And just how powerful that is. There's nothing else exists except this moment that we can anchor into. And so if we're mindful of that on whatever task we're undertaking, for me, I found that had quite a profound impact on the anxiety, for the most part. So that, yeah, I suppose it started about a decade ago and just forever. I suppose I use the analogy of an onion. So you're forever learning. And so the learning is peeling back layers and getting closer to that true core, that true self. And mindfulness is one of the vehicles, I suppose, to help get closer, keep peeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that analogy. Yeah, we're getting closer. We're peeling back the layers.
Yeah.
You know?
So many layers. And you can cry on the way, and you might, you know, it can be painful, but you get there. And yeah.
Absolutely. You know, Holly, you bring to mind that quote. It's like, when we are depressed, we are living in the past. When we are anxious, we are living in the future.
Yes.
But they say when we are at peace, you know, we're living in the present, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. That one rings in my mind often, you know. Absolutely. It's a really great quote because it's so true. It really is.
Wow. So you found yourself living in those different time periods, you know, and I guess bringing yourself back into the now. So it was just from the book, from Eckhart's book, The Power of Now. Did it come to you at a time in your life when you really needed it?
Oh, yeah, I really needed it. I was, it really, I think it might have been a culmination of things. I also was reading about the Dalai Lama and learning about Tibetan Buddhism, and I'd been to Tibet. So I think there was a whole culmination of things. But one of those, you know, those moments you might have them and something clicks and you're like, it's like you take off, you know, foggy glasses or a fog lifts and something clicks and makes sense. And you think, you know, holy shit, sorry for the, you know, for want of a better term, you know, something clicks. And so Power of Now was one of those moments. Yeah, but I was searching for something. I think there was pain inside from sort of childhood trauma and through teen years and early 20s. I'm 38 now, so this journey started a while ago. Yeah. And so I think the power of now, but a culmination of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that. You know, you look very young and you're also wise beyond your years, you know?
Oh, very lovely. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love those moments, Holly, you know, when something clicks, you get that
Yes.
moment of clarity. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good. And you sort of pause for a moment and you ponder what you've just discovered.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a good feeling.
Yeah. You just touched on something really deep as well. And I think a lot of us, myself included, we often take these things for granted. You know, somebody might call them like samskaras or things that have happened in the past. And you talked about trauma. And how has trauma impacted you or just played, you know, a big role? And what do you feel like people underestimate about, you know, the trauma, the things that might be locked into one's body?
Oh gosh. Trauma it's a challenging thing to go through. Like anyone navigating trauma, PTSD, CPTSD, it's hard, it's painful, it hurts. It hurts the mind body. You're mentally in pain. You might be reliving that trauma and we store it in our body, you know. We learn to adapt. Our nervous system might be on edge. So, but it's also such an incredible gateway when you learn how to start to heal it.
Mhm.
It's like a portal into expanding consciousness. I don't know. There's so much opportunity there, and trauma is so common. It's so common. We don't. It's not just a car crash or someone passing away. It's like it can be anything that overwhelms us.
Right.
And so we all almost all of us have an opportunity to tap into this portal to heal and awaken, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I've never heard anyone describe it like that.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
It's
awesome. Yeah. Go ahead.
oh sorry, I was just gonna say it's such a big question and yeah, it's such a beautiful opportunity, but it bloody hurts to try. Just like your trauma is like when you're healing it, you're trudging through the mud, and it's hard work, and you're tired, and you're over it, and you want to, you're frustrated, but it can be a beautiful opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to awaken, soften.
Wow. Portals to expand our consciousness. Trauma. Trauma. Wow. To look at that this way, you know, I'm already feeling expanded, you know?
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. You know, Holly, you brought something to mind, and I hadn't thought of this in a very long time, and it just came up. I was born in Germany. You know, I was born in Stuttgart. Before I was 1 year old, we moved to the States. But
Yeah.
there was a moment I remember they told me that I was in the back seat of a car with my mom. She was driving, and I was in the car seat, and something hit our car. Like something T-boned the car. It was like a trolley or something with a metal thing on the front that really like T-boned the car, but it hit it in just a way that if it had gone an inch to the left or an inch to the right, either me or my mother would be gone, you know?
Oh,
And so it hit it just right that neither one of us, it wasn't fatal to either one of us. And so the glass was broken, everything was shattered, everything was on the floor. And they said she was just screaming. She was, hysterical. People were running to the car and they were like, at the window, is everything, okay, trying to make sure. And she just remember all she was yelling was, get my baby, somebody get my baby, somebody. And
ugh.
Holly, they said that when they found me, I was on the back seat of the back of the car. I was down on the floor and I was just laughing.
Oh
Like I
my
was just
God.
smiling. I was just smiling. Like I
Oh,
had no idea what had even happened. I couldn't perceive the danger. I couldn't have even
Yeah,
fathomed or comprehended like what situation had just occurred. But who knows what kind of effect, that had, you know what I mean?
true.
So
So,
I may never know. Yeah.
wow. Oh, that gave me goosebumps and I got a tear in my eye. That's so, I can just imagine being a mum now, what your mum must have felt. And then I noticed this in Zenny, you know, he doesn't know babies are so vulnerable and they don't know what's going on. So an event of that magnitude and to find you smiling, oh, that's just so beautiful. But yeah, it can be so profound, the potential impact, and we just don't know because those developmental years between 1 through 7 there can be all kinds of things that happen. You think nothing at the time, and then it might surface when you're 25, 18. And so, wow, what an incredible experience. And I'm glad you're both safe.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fate. Yeah.
Yeah. Likewise. It's a blessing to be here. And, what you said about the things that are locked into our body. And I'd love to touch on this as well, because, a lot of us, Holly, we separate the two. We say the mind and the body, but I never hear you say that. It's very interesting. You always say the mind body.
Yeah. Yeah. I only learned that in the last couple of years. A beautiful Chinese medicine practitioner, and she's my acupuncturist as well. She calls it the body mind. But I sort of learned that through studying the trauma and through my own experience of healing. You realize how it's one beautiful big unit, and that whole impact of there's a psychoneuroimmunology where our thoughts and our beliefs and whatever's going on in our mind is felt in our body. It impacts our immune system, and then that enteric nervous system. Everything that's going on in our body affects our mental health. So it's like it's all interlinked. So there's no mind and body, or maybe there is, but if we're better to refer to them as a whole, I think.
So as a whole, understanding that it's one, it's not two separate things, it's together.
Yeah, I suppose that, that unity that applies to everything. It's almost like the micro of the macro. I hope that makes sense,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love those sayings like as above, so below, as within, so without. Like everything is one,
Yeah.
unity. Wow. So, speaking of trauma and the things that may have occurred in the past that are still lodged into our mind body,
Yes.
into the body mind, how would one go about dealing with that trauma or transmuting that energy if it's still there, if it hasn't been acknowledged or seen or heard? Like, what sort of process?
Oh, gosh, I suppose it's different for every person, but I think a combination, and this is my opinion, and I welcome being corrected, but I think a combination of talk therapy and like somatic experiencing, like physical touch and movement to move any stagnation and tension in the body. So I think talk therapy definitely has a place. So often people have experienced trauma and without realizing they haven't actually spoken about it. And so it could have happened 10 years ago, whatever this event was, and then several traumas have occurred since then. But nobody, I suppose, to come back to that point earlier, nobody really, not often. It's a rarity for people to really say, how are you? And to dive into these past events, unless you're a counselor or someone like yourself, perhaps, or, a mental health professional. So if you're able to talk about it and have someone hear your experience and what you went through and to say, wow, and, you're here and acknowledge and validate your feelings, that can be so powerful, like a first step.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, looking at things like, gosh, there's so many different, techniques that can be used, but like yoga and breath work and cold water immersion and chanting and, you know, there's just so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And these are some practices that you do as well, right?
Yeah, I do. I do now. I think over the last 3 years, my daily practice, my regime, I suppose, my self-care regime is quite a long list, but it all is quite habitual, you know, now because I understand what it does for me. And when I'm in a good space, it's better for my husband and for my baby and our 2 dogs and the people I encounter during the day. So if I don't go through these various daily practices, I can feel it. I feel tension mentally, physically. So it's good to just get it out, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, Holly, what would be, you know, I guess the importance to you of having a daily practice, something that you do consistently, you know, day in and day out, and what would be one of your go-tos?
Oh, one of my go-tos is definitely breath work.
Okay.
Gosh, it's just a very simple one I do. I don't, um, I will sit for 15 to 20 minutes before I do any yoga or meditation, and often Zenny's beside me, little Zenith. I sit on his play mat is also my breathwork mat. So
Ah, okay.
we sit first thing in the morning and we'll do sort of deep diaphragmatic breathing and yoga breathing. And I love the 4-7-8 technique. So you breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. And 15 minutes, 20 minutes of that, it's as good as a double shot coffee, I'm sure of it. It's so revitalizing. It moves your lymphatic system, massages your organs, etc. And so that's what my go-to would be, among other things. Non-negotiable, the breath work.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, that's like a pranic power up. You know, it's the caffeine of the universe, like nature's coffee. You know, it's breathing through you. You're counting. It's simple. I feel like there's so much power in simplicity. You know.
Oh, absolutely. You do a regular breath work practice too? Are you a breatharian or you
Well,
think
this
I'm
is one of my regular ones. My regular ones, I kind of integrated it into the music. You know, the healing therapy of sound, and
beautiful?
yeah. So this would be one that I'm consistent and quite.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It sounded lovely when I clicked in or logged in. Yeah.
Yeah, glad you received it, you know. Yeah, so the breath, one of my good friends, Holly, they always tell me the breath is a key and the door it opens is peace, you know.
Oh gosh, it sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is.
Hmm.
Often, I digress a little bit, but often, you know, if I have a meeting or I'm driving somewhere and I might feel I still get a little bit nervous or anxious from time to time, and I'll just kick into some of that breath work, and it really does. It's inserting that key into the door of peace. You feel it within, I think it's 8 breaths or 2 minutes.
Mm.
They estimate that it takes to kick the nervous system into that parasympathetic if
Hmm.
it's well. So yeah, it's surely opening that door to peace. It really is.
Absolutely. Yeah, for so many years I had no idea that I hadn't been breathing, you know, as efficiently as I could have been, you know. I was like, what? I had to learn to breathe. I thought I've been doing this all my life.
There's a wonderful book by I think his name is James Nestor, and the book is called Breathe, and it talks about how as a collective we've sort of forgotten this technique of breathing, and you know we mouth breathe and how it hinders our health, and the benefits of nasal breathing even when you're exercising, and just what it can do, you know, for our body. It's something that we do without thinking. It's
Hmm.
amazing how powerful it is, and that we might not be doing it to its full potential. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, Holly, you said James Nestor.
I think that's his name. I
Okay.
forget if I remembered wrong.
And the book is called Breathe.
Yeah, I'm sure it's called Breathe. It's got a blue cover. It was such a great book. I read that last year. I recommend.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. I love that. So you've had a lot of these books that have found you? in life that have kind of given you pieces to the puzzle, as it were?
Oh gosh, yeah. I tell you what, my guilty pleasure is a coffee, a piece of dark chocolate, and quiet time with a book. There's something about a tangible book. It's, oh God, it feels good. So I have a bookshelf upstairs. It was my dream child to have a bookshelf, and it's come to fruition. So many books by on trauma and, you know, breathing and fasting and raw food and everything that's kind of helped me heal. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. You know, readers are leaders. I truly believe that, you know, that they say you can miss a meal, but don't miss a book. You
That's
know?
Especially in this day and age, everyone, our attention spans have decreased. I read that somewhere, and we're looking at our phones so often, and so to sit with a book for 20 minutes is like, would have been commonplace maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, and now it feels like it's not so common. It's a gift.
Right. And you know, that relaxation is like its own form of meditation, and it definitely strengthens your concentration. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely that meditative focus on a single task without being distracted by the phone or, you know, whatever else is going on in your external world.
Yeah, very useful today, you know, in these times that we talk about, with more and more technology that I don't believe is going backwards. I think it's just going to continue going forwards.
Yeah, at a breakneck speed, yeah.
So being able to cultivate that, I think, is essential. You know, it's one of the essential things. So, wow. You know, Holly, you touched on holistic therapies. And I think many people have different definitions of the word. What would be the way that you define holistic?
I think holistic, it comes back to the whole mind body being a single unit, one united, combining various techniques that facilitate healing and complement the whole body, the whole mind body. So holistic might be looking at, you might do some talk therapy, for example, and then you might combine might incrementally implement some daily practices that are very simple, that are free, breath work, light restorative yoga, even a change in nutrition, and obviously you deal with the respective professionals, or you teach yourself through these wonderful books that people create. So I think taking a multi-pronged approach, if these are the prongs, multi-prongs, to facilitate healing in these, you know, bodily vessels that we inhabit.
I love your word usage. I enjoy it, you know. A multi-pronged approach to facilitate healing in these bodily vessels that we inhabit. Wow. Yeah, you're a walking book yourself, Holly. You know, you're full of all this information. Yeah.
Oh, that is a lovely thing to hear. Thank you so much. I certainly don't feel that way here.
Wow. You know, it's interesting. We often don't see ourselves quite the way that others see us. Yeah.
Yeah. So true. It would be interesting to be a fly on the wall, you know, for a day, to observe, you know, what other people see, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe just not too much.
Have you ever tried that? Like, can't you do that? You know, I know you have meditative practices.
Yeah.
To be a fly on the wall, to observe the observer.
Oh, well. Yeah, that's so true. We are in our meditative practices, we are, wow, that was a good one. We are observing the observer. We really are. That was great.
You gave me that. Yeah. It's like an alley-oop. You know, you throw it up, I'll knock it down. Yeah.
So true.
So, you know, on another note, you talk about in your story, I remember there's a post that I saw you put up, I think it was around January 8th, maybe. But
Well,
you talked about that there was a speed bump that you hit. Can you tell us what was that speed bump that changed everything in your life?
gee, you have a great memory. So the speed bump, I was about a little over 3 years ago. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and all is well now. Gosh, I'm so grateful. But that I I remember the months leading up to that. I was at a breaking point with anxiety. I had bodily imbalances. I had gut issues. Um, like, I hope this is not too much information, but unexplained infertility. And look, hindsight is a wonderful thing. It's 2020 vision looking back. And looking back, everything, I was so out of balance, and I was so stressed, and I was tense. And then I remember I found a lump in one of my breasts, and I went to the doctor, and by chance she said, I went for something else, and she said, is there anything else you want to talk about or ask? And I thought, you know what, let's just check out this lump. And she felt it, and I never forget her reaction. Despite all her training, her face was like, okay, you need to see a specialist. And she sat me down, and she called the specialist, and I saw them the next day. And I never forget that time. And I remember going home that day. So I had various tests, and then I came back to the same doctor, and she said, I'm sorry, it is cancer. And I was sick. I was sick. I had to run to the restroom to be sick. I was so scared, crippled with fear. But that day I left the doctor's surgery, and I remember using technology to my advantage, Googling and just finding what can I do to help my body. And that just led me on this path of using food as medicine. I never knew that before, but I can't believe I didn't know that before. We're not taught that. But using nutrition and learning about yoga and breath work, and it was a very long process, and I'm still learning now. But from that day, I'll never forget. So that was the speed bump, and I was very fortunate. So fortunate that it was caught early, and I was in the care of some incredible specialists. So it was I'm grateful. You never wish it upon anyone, but I'm so grateful for that experience. Yeah.
Wow, Holly, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your vulnerability, and thank you for just speaking on the feeling that you had, and how that really affected you, how that changed everything, and just remembering that moment. You brought me into that field of view when you got the message, when you saw the reaction, and you realized, like, oh wow, everything from this moment on might not be the same. And I'm definitely glad as well that it was caught when it was. I'm thankful that my mom, she also went through breast cancer, and they caught it. And so she had her breast removed.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine, what you might going through something like that. And I'm just getting a message now that I should probably talk to her about that, because we've never had a long conversation about what she went through.
Yes. I imagine it would be quite powerful for her son to ask her about that. I love hearing stories about that your mum is, that women come out of this, and it's very common, and so many people heal from this and other illnesses and disease. We have such profound power. So yeah, so many blessings to your mum. Good for her. Good for you. Good for all of you. Yeah.
Wow. So you're a survivor,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's possible.
Yeah. It's so possible. Anything is possible, really, when you realize, when you peel back those onion layers and you get closer to your true self, you realize what truly is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we're really scratching the surface either. Yeah.
Right. There's, on another note, there's a word that's on your your bio, Holly, that I've never seen this word before in my life. And I would love to learn from you, what does this mean? Because it said psychoneuroimmunology.
Oh gosh.
What is that?
So it's a field of study. It basically, it says that what we think, feel, and believe is felt. It translates into our body, so it affects our immunity. It affects all of our bodily systems. So our endocrine system, all of the various bodily systems are impacted by our thoughts, our mental health. And so there was a wonderful doctor. She's passed now. Her name was Dr. Candace Pert. And I'm an absolute fangirl of her work. And there's so many other people that are now, teaching this in their various ways, but they don't call it psychoneuroimmunology. But I think Molecules of Emotion was a wonderful book by Dr. Candace Pert that kind of, it talks about it. It really explains it. It goes into the science of it. But if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work,
yes.
And even Dr. Mark Hyman is talking about it now, that our thoughts, I think Joe Dispenza is a wonderful example. He really, takes people through their meditative practice and teaches them that whatever is going on in their mind translates to their body. And I've seen wonderful examples on his videos of people that have healed themselves from disease, and obviously they do other things to help their healing. But if we're constantly in a state of stress, we might see that in terms of breakout in our skin, or we might have gut disturbances or endocrine imbalances because of the hormones that stress secretes. Is that the word? So if we're able to meditate or be mindful or practice breath work, so we're coming back to a place of here and now, we're training ourselves, I suppose, to be anchored and calm. Because if we're focused on this moment, we can't also be stressing out about the future or, ruminating on the past.
Right.
And that affects our mental health, which in turn affects our body, therefore the mind-body unity. I hope that made sense. I felt like I went on a very long explanation.
Oh, I love that. No, I love the journey and the ride that you take us on, and illustrate this. It's so eloquent, thank you. Thank you for breaking that down and clarifying, because I had no idea. I had never seen the word before, but that makes so much sense. The mind-body connection and how it has an effect on everything, the small affects the all, the little things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I think it's a big word, and it can, but really the practice is so simple, mindfulness and meditation, and, just persistence in the practice impacts us better. Yeah. It's not very well articulated, but, yeah.
Yeah. Fear, like you said, fear has no place in the present.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It takes a while to get there, I think. It takes some practice. When you're constantly in a state of fear and you've lived that way for many years, it takes persistence and practice over and over. But when you do that consistently, and you're persistent, you do breakthrough. You have breakthroughs along the way, and you might look back and you think, look where I was a year ago, look where I was 5 years ago. It's like, take your step each day, even if you're tired or you think you don't have time, and your whole mind body will be better for it.
Yeah, there's a funny saying. It's like, if you don't have 20 minutes a day to meditate, then you probably need an hour.
I just saw that the other day. It's one of my favorites. I always come back to it because I would get caught up in a cycle of busyness, and sort of unraveling that now as I get older. But I would say, I don't have time. I can only meditate for 2 minutes a day. And I thought that was a very It really punched me in the face, that one, when I read it the first time years ago. And I always come back to it. It's a good reminder.
Mhm. Yeah. And the mind body loves repetition. Like you said, over and over again, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think we're creatures of habit. And when we have, it's something, I think we like security. Humans like security, and having that repetition offers us security to some extent. You know, we like the known, perhaps. So when we have something we can lean into that's known, that's regular, it can be to our benefit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can always change that. You have the power to, you know, operate not just at the effect level, but at the cause level.
Yes. Yeah. So true. Yeah, there's so much power that we have to impact and affect our experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole cause and effect. Yeah. Gosh, understanding that and working to treat any cause is so powerful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for speaking on that, Holly, because I think it's so important for people to know that they have that power, you know, within them, especially people who don't believe that they can have an effect, you know, on things, that they're
Yeah.
always, you know, operating at that level. It's good to know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I wish people taught this in school. You know, this is what makes people better. We're healthier, better for knowing this kind of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, yeah, one person can make such a massive difference on themselves, on the world around them, through the ripples they send out.
Mm-hmm.
So we transcend fear, anxiety, all these ailments we have, transcend into love, and everything is just, we're better for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is ironic though, you know, this is the knowledge that you don't learn in college, you know.
No.
They didn't. Yeah. And did you go to uni yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm always studying. I went to primary school, high school, I went to TAFE, university, and I'm I just love learning. I have a thirst for knowledge, so I'm always studying something. I actually, to be honest, I studied taxation and accounting for 10 years, and then transitioned to counseling and psychoneuroimmunology and trauma, etc. So yeah.
Wow. A big gambit, big menu.
Yeah, yeah. Did you study? Have you studied at uni?
I did.
Yeah. What did you study? Or did I suppose it doesn't matter?
Can you guess what my major was? I'll give you a guess.
Philosophy?
Ooh, oh my gosh. You're bringing back so many memories. I love philosophy. That was actually, for a short time, I think it was almost less than 1 year, I thought that I wanted to minor in philosophy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I took a couple of philosophy classes and I flunked. I failed both of them.
That's not easy. That's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I realized that I didn't love it as much as I thought I did, you know? But I mean, I love it, but it was like the study of it was different than the love
Yeah.
for it, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Makes
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh man, those were two I failed so miserably in those two classes. I was like, what? I love this. How did
We never
But,
forget the experiences when we fail or we have a hard time with a subject. I know that for sure. Yeah.
mm-hmm. But no, it wasn't philosophy. It was theater. It was
Wow.
performing arts. Yeah.
Wow. Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
How fascinating.
Yeah. So I'm using, you know, everything that I learned from there. I'm utilizing that today to be able to, you know, project a positive message and to uplift others, you know, to do the same thing that you're doing in your own way, just finding forms of encouragement, forms of enlightenment and empowerment, you know?
Oh, you're surely doing that. I stumbled across your offerings I think it's just the other week. I even showed my husband. There was a beautiful offering that you woke up and you were out walking in the sunshine, and you said something like, the sun is here today. Love is in the heart again today. It was just beautiful. It was so powerful. Anyway, so your studies and everything that's led you here, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. And we are here today, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. The breath is in the body again. The
That's
love is
it.
in the heart again.
Yeah. I love that. So great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, you talked earlier about Joe Dispenza and Dr. Joe. I find that fascinating as well, Holly, when it comes to the placebo effect. You know,
Yes.
they talk about the placebo and the nocebo.
Yeah.
And it's like if you have the power to make yourself healthy, you also have the power to make yourself sick, you know,
Yeah.
just by your thinking.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So powerful. It's honestly, to me, years ago, before I started on this journey, I don't like this term, but you know, it sounded a bit woo-woo, like because I couldn't grasp it, it wasn't tangible. But then you sort of, you dabble in it, you dip your toe in it, and you start learning about it, and you just realize the immense power that the mind has. It
Mhm.
sounds so cliche because you know, people say, oh, the power of the mind all the time. It's just a cliche quote you might, you know, see around the place talking about the power of the mind, but it really, we are such infinite and powerful beings, and we just don't realize it.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And when it comes to anything that's cliche or anything that, you know, we call it cliche because we've heard it repeatedly again and again and again. But I feel like we hear it over and over because these are really like universal truths, you know?
Yeah. I think if there is something we're hearing repeated over and over, look into it. Why?
Yeah.
There must be some truth to it. And if there isn't, then you're better for having learned and looked.
There you go. There you go. Awesome. Awesome. Well, oh my goodness, Holly, you know, I just want to thank you, just give gratitude and appreciation for you coming on here. Thank you for sharing your time with us and, you know, talking about your story, taking us down that memory lane in more ways than one, you know,
Yeah.
and illustrating the importance of the mind-body connection and how we can have an effect on the things and cause and be at both levels, that we don't have to just operate and have things happen to us, that we can engender that change. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Gee, that was a great summary. Gosh, you're wonderful at this. Thank you for your time and energy. It's so wonderful to connect from the other side of the world. Yeah, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. I look forward to doing this again. You know, I feel like there's so much more to share, so much more there. And, you know, if there's any place that you have or any services that you might have for others that people can find you, what would be the best way that they could contact you, and what services do you provide?
So at the moment, I'm still developing some online programs. So the best place to probably reach out or contact is either holly.shoebridge on Instagram or hollyshoebridge.com. And if you subscribe, you'll get the first releases of programs that are being developed. And shortly, there'll be some one-on-one sort of holistic counseling and coaching. And yeah, but say Instagram or the internet is a wonderful way. I'm always up for a chat, so reach out.
Awesome. Hey,
Thank
keep it to Holly to keep it holistic.
you. Oh, that's good. I love it.
Yeah. Holly, keeping it holistic. I love that. It's a nice ring to it.
I like it. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, very
All
cool.
right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. You know, I'm sure that, you know, you're gonna enjoy the coffee, the books, the dark chocolate, you
Yeah,
know.
gosh, absolutely. Yeah. And all the best to your mum too. Enjoy that chat with her.
We
Yeah.
will. We will. Thank you for, you know, bringing that back because that's something that needs to happen. You know, we should be able to have more conversations like this. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again. What a
All
great
right.
time.
All right. You take care.
You too. I'll see you later.
Bye. Awesome.